Hey you guys, it's me, KTB, and today I'm going to be reviewing Anna Dressed in Blood by Kendare. It was recommended to me via Twitter, and yeah, I can't find their tweet, but because I tried looking, but I couldn't find it. But thank you very much to whoever recommended this book and its sequel to me. I have got that one to read as well because this one, thank you. Before I read the synopsis, it's a horror romance. I probably wouldn't have found it if it hadn't been for the recommendation. And yeah, I wouldn't have known to look for something that had equal parts horror as well as equal parts romance. It does say on the back, not for younger readers, but it is very much 15 and above, I'd reckon. It's not too old, but it's not something I would recommend if you were not a teenager. So yeah, I'll read you the synopsis now and then I'll give you my review. Cass Lowood is no ordinary guy. He hunts dead people. People like Anna. Anna dressed in blood. A beautiful murderous ghost entangled in curses and rage. Cass knows he must destroy her, but as a tragic past is revealed, he starts to understand why Anna has killed everyone who's ever dared to enter her spooky home. Everyone, that is, except Cass. Just your average boy meets girl, girl kills people story. I really enjoyed this book, actually. It's, like I said, it's not something that I would normally come across in my day-to-day search, and if I hadn't been recommended it, then I probably never would have found it and I never would have enjoyed it, and thank you so much. The pacing in it is brilliant. The chapters are just long enough for you to kind of feel like you've read a decent amount, but not too long that you start getting bored, which is great. And it's got just enough action in it that you're kind of gripped and hooked, but at the same time it's not kind of like you meet 5 people, 3 of them die, another one goes on a murderous rampage, and 3 cats get killed all within the space of a paragraph, which would be too much. There's a lot of showing instead of telling, which, great. I mean, there is exposition in it, which is very telly in itself, but there wasn't too much, which is kind of what the point is here. You kind of do need a little bit of exposition because you can't go without getting it, but all the bits that you could kind of get from being shown it were shown, and within the first chapter you kind of see a ghost that Cass normally deals with, and you see him kill her, or it, this ghost, and you see him easily get rid of this ghost, and so that you can kind of how to put it, you can kind of see ordinary ghost, and then you can see how different Anna is, and you can see why he struggles to kill Anna, and yeah, and you just get just enough of the first ghost to be able to kind of see all that and see Cass as a character and be able to understand what he does. And the one thing that I wasn't entirely sure at first what it was the eighth aim. I could tell it was a knife, but I didn't understand why it wasn't just called a knife until more towards the end, but that was great, it was explained. Yeah, and all the characters were a little bit more three-dimensional, and they had their flaws as well, which was really great, and I really enjoyed that they had flaws in them, and that even though you had the stereotypical Queen Bee, she was kind of book smart instead of street smart, and they made that kind of distinction as well. There were a few grammatical errors that I noted. One being, where did I write it? One on page 173, there was a missing speech mark, and oversize was spelt Oversise, which is not even an Americanism, because it should be spelt Oversize. And there was another one on page 255, which was again the missing speech mark. But these grammatical errors were, they weren't kind of all over the place, and just a couple of, like, 5 minutes of editing time just to find them and change one or two tiny little things. And it didn't really take me out the story for too long, so that was good. There weren't that many grammatical errors that it kind of took you out of the story kind of every 5 minutes, and yeah, greatly written. Then the ending was believable. I believed that kind of, and it was set up as well, because you kind of know that Cass is there to kill her, and so, you know, I believed the ending. So yeah, I'm not going to spoil what happens to her. And it does line up with the rest of the story too, which is brilliant. And all the conflicts were all nicely spaced out too. And I would thoroughly read the next book too. And I would recommend it to any of you who really kind of like ghosty ghoulies and all that kind of stuff. And it's a YA horror romance. If you like YA stories and if you like horror and you'd like to see it mixed in with a bit of romance, then I thoroughly recommend it in for you. So yeah, it's a very good book. I'll put the links down below for you guys, and I will see you next time. Yeah, and yeah, that's it from me. See you next time. Bye bye.